welcome to Pete's podcast. Today we have Sarah Fury, the business manager from Drift IT, joining us. We're going to start talking about awards because the first time we met was at the awards ceremony. So why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll talk about the AZ Excellence winner.
Oh gosh, okay. I'm Sarah. I work at Drift. I've been at Drift for about 6 years-ish. Came in sort of as a bit of a finance HR help to the business and have now ended up being the business manager. We met at the awards night. You sprung that on right at the end of that night. You can't do that to someone that's not expecting an award at the end of a lovely night.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
We like to mix it up a bit.
It doesn't put people in their best light, Fiona.
You did look absolutely shocked as you walk on the stage, if I'm honest.
But it was such a lovely night, and taking away the business having won earlier in the night as well, we thought that was our lot, you know, and we were just in celebration mode, really. It means so much to us to even be at that event, let alone take anything home. I think it was such a shock for us to have our name read, you know.
So well deserved. And it's thank you for all you do for the apprentices, because the award ceremony is really important to us and we try and mix up each year and keep people on their toes.
Yes.
But it's really celebrating the community. And I think hopefully you saw, and what you've just alluded to, is we absolutely try to make sure that everyone just has fun. It's a celebration of what we do and the community that we are. There's no networking, fancy smancy, all of that nonsense. We're literally just there to go and have a great time and celebrate.
It's so true. And I think it really feels like that as well. I mean, our first awards night that we came to was at the Maritime Club.
Yeah.
And even then we were like, oh, this is so lovely. And everyone was just supportive. Everyone was friendly. I think it's not really a place to network, etc. And even now it's gotten bigger into the Guildhall and it feels even more fancy. There is still that really nice sort of camaraderie between every company. There's a little bit of friendly, you know, oh, they're up again, they're up. But at the end of the day, everyone's there to support the same thing, and everyone's there to celebrate young or developing talent coming through the area. And I think it's really lovely to be able to do that like collectively. Yeah. It's so, again, there's been occasions where you see people that are in your cohort as well. You know, if you're on programme and you're nominated as an apprentice, it's so nice to go and support other people that you've been learning with for that year, 2 years, and know that their successes are being celebrated in their business as well as yours. It's just a real team.
So you're doing an apprenticeship too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I'm on the level 5 operational management apprenticeship. I don't know why I decided that I had time to do that alongside my job and home life, etc. But it's amazing. And actually, to be honest, I've been in positions with sort of people management, etc. for probably not far off a decade now, with no paper experience. You know, it's all learning as I go, learning on the job, and to be able to have solid training from professionals and experienced people to then take back in and go, oh, I'm just going to tweak that, or I'm going to do that a bit differently. Or actually, I really like the way that I already do this, and I've just had that cemented that it's a good thing to do. So being able to take more learning on, and also I really love that I'm learning. You know, I say to my team, like, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I might have been doing my job for X amount of years, but I can always do it better. And to be able to get that from the training days here and be able to directly take it back into the business and almost the week after go, right, I'm going to try something new now. I guess that's one of the benefits of working in a small business like us. You know, there's only 22, 23 of us. And so to be able to have the say and be able to impact your business so directly, you've not got to pass through lots of red tape or have lots of upper or middle management sort of pushing you back. I love that I can go and learn something new, think, actually that will benefit me, that will help me, that will help the business, and then within a week, 2 weeks, a month, it's implemented straight in there again. It's really rewarding. I'm really enjoying that.
Great. And so you also won, Drift IT also won Employer of the Year awards at the AZ Awards as well.
Yeah.
Why do you think you won that? What do you do at
persistence,
Drift?
Fiona, like 5 years knocking the door. No. But I think, and again, I joke, but to be even nominated for that amount of goes is amazing, and it's really humbling because it's a team effort. You know, there is no point one person being successful if the rest of the team don't feel like they are. And so, the sort of attitude and the motto that we've got within the business is to be developing and upskilling everybody and pushing them into the directions that best suit everybody. And I think that that's what makes the company deserved of being shortlisted, because I think the apprenticeship programs works really well for us. They're such a great way to get raw talent into the business, and use the experience around us to help them mould and develop as individuals within the team, not only technically or in their sort of job role, but as humans, as people. And you know, there are some people that are joining us at 16, 17 with no life experience as such, no job, but this is their first job. So to be able to also help them with things like, this is what a payslip looks like, and this is what tax is, and this is what you need to pay to the government, and this is your holiday allowance, or this is what you do if you're sick. It's world experience. It's not just IT related or business related. And I think so many of us within the business have so much passion for people that collectively then as a company it really sort of shines through, and hence why I guess we're at the awards nights.
Yeah, so no, which is great. Mentoring is really important, but also recently there's been policy changes within the government. Mm-hmm. So within Drift, I know you really support young, fresh talent, as you've talked about, but also there's a journey and a progression.
Definitely.
How do you think these policy changes will affect you in Drift?
Oh, Fiona, it's going to be massive, actually, because I think, and not just for us as well, I've been reading loads up on it, and it's quite disheartening, I think, some of the decisions that have been made, because you can, fresh young talent's brilliant, and you can, like, I get so much joy and pleasure from watching them come in with no experience to be flourishing in not only as part of a team but even leading a team and moving onwards. But then what? So you might have come in at your IT infrastructure, which is what we do, the IT technician level 3, and our business admin is a really popular, and successful process as well. And then, but what's next? You've then got people within the business, myself included to a degree, that's then sort of, okay, the next step might be people management or team leader or supervisor. So where's the training and the development there? It's one thing being really, really great at technical, or for example, if I steer it there as an example, your IT skills are second to none, your customer service, etc. But there is no experience and no training then to lead a team, to manage a team, to develop a team. And that's a completely different skill set in itself. And for that to be sort of taken from you and not being able, the funding gone for the level 3 and the level 5 it's going to really have to change up how we think about what we do next. I think there's such valuable skills to be learned, especially in that level 3. We've used that again quite a lot with people transitioning maybe to the higher end of their team, and to mean that we can't use that program anymore because that's not affordable for us to do without the funding, unfortunately. We're going to have to look at whether there's more short courses or whether there's sort of maybe an internal sort of program that we might be able to do as a slightly different mentoring situation, but it's going to have a massive impact. How can you focus all your young, on bringing young, inexperienced, I know that they're looking quite heavily on their NEET performances. Yeah. How you bring them in if you've not got experienced people to help develop them and deal with that, and I think it's slightly narrow-minded, maybe slightly short-sighted. Because there's going to be this big gap in people that don't necessarily maybe have the experience and the knowledge of how to deal with these new cohort of people coming through. And is that conducive to then an environment that someone wants to stay and feel nourished and experience and supported in. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And mentoring, you've mentioned a handful of times now,
Yeah.
which obviously is really important. And I from memory, I think that one of the reasons that you won the SME of the Year award was because of the mentoring and the support that the apprentices get. We all know that an apprentice can win or lose depending on that support they get from the workplace. It's really pivotal. So talk to me a little bit about mentoring and how you develop mentors within your business.
So I guess we don't have any, we've got a couple of us that are mentors, not that we're badged up in any way, shape or form, but, you know, people that are positioned correctly to look out for, you know, anybody coming into the business, new, old, young, apprenticeship, not, you know, it's important, like you say, it's that first sort of 3 months at least is very sink or swim with any business, isn't it? If you don't fall in and settle and get engaged with the values and the vision and the mission that the company's engaged with and how their roles align with the bigger picture, you're likely to sort of lose their buy-in. But specifically with apprentices, we are really passionate that we're in every LPR that you guys come and do with us.
Yeah.
Again, I thought that was very normal until I maybe were in a room full of other mentors and they said, I've never been to an LPR. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, okay. Right. I wouldn't want to not, because I want to know how they're getting on, not only within the business, but with their college coursing and how they're getting on with their submission writing and bits like that, because that's a whole package when you're with an apprentice. So, you know, we're passionate about that. Keeping in communication regularly with Peter, you know, for any sort of safeguarding or concerning issues, be it workplace or training based, because again, it comes as one, I think. Where we've got so many apprentices or ex-apprentices within the business, we could not say the word off the job tracker anymore if we tried. Feel that tracker in, feel the tracker in. Have you gotten on top of that? Have you done that? Because the experience you can just easily pass down. And I think, again, it's sort of mentoring in a really natural way. You're not, every Monday at 11 o'clock you have your mentoring hour. It's much more organic, and it's much more just as the business day flows, you know, have you thought about using that as part of your submission or portfolio? And how are you, or I'm noticing you're struggling maybe a little bit more with that area that you're less experienced with. Should we do some?
And that's when people miss the mark, don't they? When they're filling in the tracker to fill in the tracker. It's about realising what you're learning when and then applying it.
Exactly. Absolutely. And so many times they'll be doing their day-to-day things and we'll sort of shout from across the room, that goes on your tracker. And they go, why? And I said, because that's new. You've just learned how to do that. That's new learning, and you've done that yourself. So that's autonomy and get that, showcase yourself like you've done that. So it's so nice to be able to sort of just grab and pick at things as you're listening throughout the day. Again, maybe a benefit of a smaller business because you've sort of got ears everywhere.
Yeah, although it's down to the individual. So I'm curious about you because you sound like a real driving force and you're absolutely embedded in that. So where did that come from?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I've always been quite people focused. I love people. I love sort of the way they tick. All of my sort of academia is in social sciences.
Right.
So that I've always been quite engaged and quite interested in that. My first job actually, I literally fell into a job in banking, and I was on the cashier desk. And maybe actually now looking 20 years back, the sort of financial side of cashiering and the customer service side of someone in front of you is what's built my job now, being the responsibility of all things HR and finance in my business. And I think it's always been there. I guess when you're in service, knowing that you're making a difference to someone's day or trying to make it easier, that brings me a lot of joy. But then I think I've developed that further, and now watching someone flourish and giving them opportunities to flourish, not doing it for them, you're not doing it for them, but seeing them come in so like meek or inexperienced, and then running a team 2 years later, 3 years later, knowing that you facilitated that brings me so much joy. And knowing that they can now go on to do, when their time might be right to move on, there's a platform there to go and do anything that they want to do because that opportunity's been given to them. I love an underdog. And I love, people that might especially, and that's why I love an apprenticeship, because maybe giving people a second chance. Maybe they didn't feel that the academic system suited them, or wasn't treated maybe as fairly as they could have been treated. And they've now taken it upon themselves with their own determination and grit to start again, or to reskill or change direction. And so to pick those little diamonds up and be able to give them that safety, security, to flourish and gain experience is...
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
You're preaching to the converted, because I've worked in apprenticeships for 26 years. So the minute you don't feel that, then I'm in the wrong job.
100%. And again, like, maybe naively, I thought that everyone had that, until you maybe surround yourself then with other people within other businesses, or you start networking within the area, and you feel, oh, okay, actually maybe we have got something really special here with Drift, and maybe we are really quite passionate, more so than some other places. And at the moment we've got over a quarter of the company on an apprenticeship in some way, shape or form, a 3 or a 5, or management or IT or a business, and actually watching people move from job roles within the business as well, and flourishing, and then redirecting them is really powerful.
So that is quite, so you look after, that's quite a financial undertaking, even though obviously there's funding that is attracted with the apprenticeships. Giving people a day a week off their day job is an investment.
Very much so.
So, I've had decisions here where I've got people who want to embark on apprenticeships, and we've had to stagger them to make sure the business still runs. So do you face those challenges?
Yeah, definitely. And maybe naively we want to give everyone everything all of the time, and then you think, oh, okay, there is a management set of 2, we're both on an apprenticeship. That takes some real balance in, like, when are you training, when am I training, when are you doing extracurricular bits, when am I doing, and that takes a real juggle. Similarly, within our procurement, purchasing, sales team, they're a team of 2, and they are both embarking on that training. And again, it's just managing the expectations and making sure that everyone's got their time, and that we then step in if needs be as managers or team leaders within the business to sort of support that team whilst that's happening. If you don't invest, when's it ever going to happen? There's never a right time, is there? There's never a perfect time within the business to have more new talent coming through. And especially if it's staring at you in the face, you can't let that opportunity go, because they might well go on and do that somewhere else instead.
So, it sounds massively positive and it's really commendable, but you must have had some really difficult times, or some times where somebody's gone, and they've just not hit the mark for you?
Yeah. Obviously, there's not always 100% success rate.
Yeah.
It's really slim, though, very. And actually, one thing we've done, especially with our IT roles, is at first, when we first embarked with Peter, we were doing it in specific roles. So we'd like an apprentice help desk technician or an apprentice on-site technician. Whereas now, and maybe for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been running what we're calling like a multi-role technician. So that is someone then that we can use. Within the business, we've got a help desk, we've got an on-site support that go out and support our local schools. We've got a projects team that works both on our existing customers, but also within projects with new builds of the Department for Education. So much more sort of dirty, and new experiences. And any new apprentice that we're now taking on board, we give the expectation that you fit in all of those departments. Now that means from a business, you've got that resource that you can put where it's slightly stretched at any period of time. From having to think really sort of strategically, if you've got a team that are quite high on workload, we can migrate them there for the term, etc. But it also means that individual gets a glimpse of every technical department within our business, and as managers, you can easily and quickly see where they flourish. So instead of pinpointing them, we need you to sit on help desk every day for 8 hours a day, when actually you realise that within 2 hours they're up and walking around and then they're not engaged. But the minute you put them with a drill in their hand or up a ladder, and they're absolutely, we can then move them. So it's watching what suits the individual and how that can best suit the business. You can't have 25 help deskers and nothing, it still has to be realistic. But we have done that so many times now where we've had a multi-role technician come in, and we've quickly identified, no, you suit here, and how do you feel about suiting here? Great. And then they go, they run with it, they flourish.
And so do you have those? So you're responsible for those conversations, are you?
Yeah, I mean, but the two of us, myself and Marie-Claire, my service manager, she's sort of far more outward-facing customer service and looking after the technicians as a line. But collectively, again, the size of the business, everything about everyone, rightly or wrongly.
Well, do you know what? We're all just a bunch of people, aren't we, trying to do the best we can?
But that's what makes a business, Fiona. If everyone was the same and everyone wanted to do the same thing in the same way, where's your diversity? Where's your new thoughts? Where's your pushing boundaries? Even sometimes the boundary pushers bring great ideas back in and think, oh yeah, you're like, let's change things up a little bit. So I don't want everybody to be the same. That would be really boring.
Yeah, and we were just chatting about diversity, weren't we? And it's just diverse. It's diversity in every sense of the word, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can we be even better because of the people that we've got?
This is it. The business is built on the people. Again, I'm a real believer of that. You can have the best model in the world, you can have the best forecasts and budgets, etc. But if you've got people that are unengaged, unmotivated, and don't really care, then it's not going to work. Especially not in a service industry like ours and like you as well. If you can't interact with your customers, or you can't progress in an environment that's ever changing, your customer will go somewhere else. It's ruthless, isn't it? And so you have to be diverse, you have to be inclusive, and you have to bring new people that's going to keep your environment fresh and clean.
So can you share what's next for Drift IT then?
Oh no, top secret. No. What's next? What is next? Who knows? The environment that we're working in is ever changing.
Yeah.
It's having big changes within the education environment, massive, and that means big things for us. And we need to strategize and think what that means for us and how we run with that. With the times there. So there's a lot of discussions and a lot of what are we going to do next? But what we're not going to do is change how we do it, because how we do it is what's successful. The company is 21 years old this year. Not once have we ever paid for a bit of marketing. Right. Well, not once have we knocked schools down. Do you want to work with us? It's word of mouth. It's head teachers moving from place to place and taking them with you. And that's what I take a lot of pride in. That's what we should take a lot of pride in, because that means that we're working on our own merits. We're not try us for a month free and see if you like us. It's embedded, and we're there as part of that school, that environment, and that's what makes the difference. So, okay, the nature is changing. We're 20 years ago, you were dealing with admin staff, etc. at the front desk, and now every school's got a strict business manager, and and that is a really differing change of environment. But our passion into why we're doing what we're doing and why we're in the education system is never going to change. I've known the business for a long time. I've got personal relationships with the owners, and knowing why this has been set up and why they've worked so hard to keep it running as well in the industry that it's in. I feel so lucky that I'm allowed to be part of it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
You're more than welcome. It's been lovely.